You're listening to the Anchored at Harbor Park podcast. This podcast is sponsored by You Are the Answer, pure sports nutrition products for the pure effort you put into your training.
These products are awesome. We carry them in our gym and our members love them. Super simple, pure, all-natural ingredients with delicious flavors. You can learn more about them by visiting their website at www.youaretheanswer.com, and remember to use promo code CFHP to get 20% off your first order.
Go ahead and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platforms so you never miss an episode. Remember to leave us a review. Doing so helps us reach more and in turn helps us impact more people's lives.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit, a show dedicated to helping you find enrichment for the other 23 hours of your day outside of the gym. Here's your hosts, Jason, Dave, and Corian.
Welcome back, guys. This is episode 74 of Anchored at Harbor Park. I'm Coach Jason.
I'm Coach Dave.
And it is a boys' day today. Corian is off hiking with family.
She's doing the Appalachian Trail, the Great Smoky Mountains. Today is her first day.
So she's lost in the wilderness somewhere. Me and Dave are holding the fort down. We're going to talk about volume versus intensity today.
I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a good one. But I got an icebreaker for you, Jason. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would you choose?
Why? I feel like this is a boys' day kind of icebreaker. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z nerd.
Ooh.
And I would have to say I would hang out with either Goku or Vegeta. Probably train with them all day, kind of thing.
This is honestly tough for me. Probably Wolverine from the X-Men cartoon.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You could go. Superman, Batman.
I was thinking in my head, like, which Disney character, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do a Disney character.
Or, then you could go Marvels, too. That's a hard question.
Yeah, I almost did that, or almost did Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. We could just talk this whole episode on cartoons. Well, let's get into it today. So, volume versus intensity. So, first question, what is volume?
Are you asking what it is to me?
Yep.
Okay, so to me that means like how much workout you're doing. I guess maybe you could say it. You could break it down into two categories mainly. Like how much are you throwing at yourself in an entire day? So some people do 3 or 4 workouts in an entire day. So there's some volume. Mm-hmm. Or if you're kind of brand new to CrossFit, coming from nothing to jumping into the gym for the first time, you lots of movements thrown at you right at once with high reps. Mm-hmm. That's how I would look at it.
Right. Yeah, so think about it as like the amount of work you're doing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we're looking at, intensity today. What is intensity?
Wow, Rachel. So intensity would be, to me, like, one, how hard are you going at the workout? Personal, and some people can go really, really hard at that workout. And then heavy weights, so if we're throwing a heavy amount of weight at you and you're not used to it, that would be also intensity as well.
Yep.
There's 2 ways to go at it.
I kind of think about it like your heart rate, how hard are you breathing? Like, if you huffing and puffing super hard, it's like high intensity versus if you can still talk while you're doing the workout, it's lower intensity.
Yeah, you can look at it that way too.
So volume and intensity, 2 different things, but sort of related. And then what we want to talk about today is like how to incorporate them along your journey from like being a new person to being like a seasoned veteran, like above average athlete who's been around for a while versus someone who is like training to be a competitive athlete.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's start at like a beginner, probably someone who is newer to fitness, hasn't really worked out a lot in the past, maybe 5-10 years. When we're looking at what they need is not so much intensity right off the bat. we talk about CrossFit as like high intensity. It's like that's the goal of it. When you're just starting, intensity can be a detriment, especially if you don't have the mechanics down, if you don't know the moves yet. So instead, what we want to do is work on the volume.
Right.
So lower intensity for the new people, maybe moving a little bit slower, spending more time practicing, working on the technique, lighter loads, and then doing more of the movements.
Right. So like you could equate this to like shooting if you ever shot a firearm. If they put you under any type of stress, how hard it is to be accurate. You know, your heart rate's up, maybe your muscles are twitching a little bit. It's harder to be accurate when you're under stress. The more you practice and train, it becomes easier. You can be more accurate with that, and you can be under that stress and hit the bullseye target, and it doesn't affect you because you've been practicing at it. Another way to think of it is, the deer in headlights look. You know what I mean? Like if you've never experienced something that's scary or puts your body in shock, you can't respond and act as you normally would if you weren't under that stress. But being, having that, thrown at you just a little bit more and maybe training with it can help you overcome that. So it's kind of the same thing here. If you're not used to doing CrossFit and these movements, sometimes your body just doesn't know how to respond to it because you're just under all this stress.
Right. And there's like neural pathways, like the brain to muscle connection that has to develop, and all that stuff is done low intensity, low value, or low weight, high rep, high volume.
Right.
So common mistakes that newbies make would probably be like rushing into super intense right off the bat. We see it a lot with athletes that are, maybe they have some sports background and they're in pretty good shape, but they don't have the technique stuff down yet. So they rush into going super intense, but their mechanics are kind of crappy and they might end up hurting themselves.
Yeah, that's common. That's probably like you said, our biggest that we see in the gym is somebody who comes from maybe some type of gym background, and they're like, well, I've got this. They've just never done it under the intensity aspect of it, where there's a clock running and maybe they have to do an AMRAP with as many reps as possible. And then that throws them off, and then you see the breakdown real quick. They can do it under relatively lighter, they could do heavy loads, but they could do it with the intensity down. So if we were just saying, hey, let's just do 10 reps, perfect, they got it. But then I say, hey, we're going to do a total of 45, 21, 15, 9, and we're going to go as fast as possible. That's going to break down real quick.
Right. And then you might get in the habit of sacrificing technique for speed. We see that a lot too. But then so if we're moving along this continuum, so a new person would be at the far left. We want higher volume, lower intensity. Kind of go towards the middle of like that pretty good athlete. They've been around the block. They know what they're doing. They move well. And they're just here to stay in shape. They're not necessarily trying to, work out 3 hours a day. That's when you can drop the volume down and push for higher intensity. And you'll get those results that CrossFit's known for. Right. The big bang for your buck kind of, 7 to 10 minute workouts, super high intensity, huffing and puffing at the end.
I like to tell people that in the beginning, if I'm teaching like foundations, I always try to tell them, slow down until you feel comfortable. Like speed comes with practice, and weights will come with practice as well. So like if you can just slow it down and get the form right and do it proper, like you talked about the neural pathways of programming the mind and the body and how it works together. You program that, you've done 1,000 reps before it becomes habit, and all of a sudden things become easier. You don't have to think so much in the movements, and then it just becomes easier. And then it's like, oh, I could probably throw some weight on there, and then it stays the same. And then obviously when you can do it more and more and more, and it gets a little heavier, the speed can start to increase because now you're not thinking about it, and we're not worried about form.
Right.
So it's like you said, just kind of slow it down a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah. So the nice thing about when you can get to this higher intensity point, I mean, like me and you, Dave, we're pretty much only working out. We're doing the class workout, which is usually like 8 to 12 minutes a day. That's all we really do. But because we've put all the work in as beginners way back when, we can do that smaller workout, get great benefit from it, and maintain our level of fitness just from doing that.
Yeah.
We don't really spend too much time now doing a bunch of extra work. We have in the past, but I think we're at a little bit different points in our lives now.
Big time.
And then if you keep moving along, like we talked about along this continuum, towards the far right, you actually want to compete and, try to go to the sanctionals or the games or whatever it is. You need to increase both the volume and intensity. And that kind of goes back to what Dave was talking about in the beginning. Like maybe it's doing super long workouts with high intensity, so you're breathing really hard for a long period of time, or doing multiple sessions in the gym, or you might be doing like a gymnastics session and then a weightlifting and then a cardio and then a midline.
And I think this is probably the confusing aspect for a newer person. And I never understood that in the beginning CrossFit. I was like, why can't I just do class? But everybody else is coming in and doing things before and then staying after. And I was always like, okay, am I supposed to be doing that? I never knew it. So and it was just a newer thing, and no one really ever tells you. It's kind of, we're talking about here just because you are good or you've been doing this for a long time. You and me, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, but we're fine doing just class, whereas maybe Corey and Coach Blair and Coach Rachel are all they do a little extra stuff, but their priorities and their goals are different.
Right.
We've talked about this many times, so it's all about your goals. So do you have to do it? No, but what are your goals?
Right. They're at the point where if they went to just doing one class a day, they'd actually lose some fitness, which would hinder their progress.
Yep.
They want to keep getting better. Not to say that me and you don't want to, but it's not a priority to be the best we can be.
Right.
We're just trying to stay in shape and have a good time doing it. So how we can incorporate this into your training wherever you are along your journey, I think, when me and Dave started, we didn't really understand this concept very well. I think we both probably rushed to intensity and volume a little too soon. I remember when I was 6 months in, I was in pretty good shape when I started CrossFit. I had been running a lot and I had some weightlifting background, but again, I wasn't really familiar with CrossFit and the moves that we do. And I remember doing we joked about this the other day, I did a workout, did a class workout, just we have the 5 o'clock, we got done. Me and my buddy were like, you want to do it again? And we literally did the exact same workout again at the next, and now, we know some things and we say how dumb were we to do that? We didn't understand this stuff back then. This was back in 2013, so we've had 6 years to learn. And we've rushed to intensity and got injuries. We've both had shoulder injuries. Yeah. I hurt my back from, doing a bunch of extra work. I'm not trying to scare people, but again, when you do more volume, you have a little bit higher chance of risk, especially or higher chance of injury, especially when you mix volume and intensity. So if you're kind of just starting with us, we program the wellness track to be that lower intensity, higher volume for you. So you don't have to think too much about it. It's going to be a little slower. Your goal should be to move slower, focus on good technique, slow and controlled movement, doing things right. You'll still kind of get out of breath and sweat a little bit, but you're probably not going to be huffing and puffing super frequently, unless it's just a simple bike workout or row workout.
Yeah, and we don't want you to think it's going to be easy. It's just a different version of the workout, like you said. Though it's meant to be bring the intensity down and go for a longer period of time. So you'll see EMOMs in there. Sometimes when it's a 24-minute workout, and a lot of times it's some of it's rounds for time or whatever. It's a timed workout with a 24-minute time cap. Well, some people can probably finish that time cap maybe 15 to 18 minutes right there. So yeah, but their intensity's higher because they're moving faster, whereas we want you to slow down and work that whole time. So we're going to make it programmed into an EMOM. So technically you're doing probably more reps than everybody else, but you can maintain that through the whole time, and that's the goal.
Right. And then, you know, we have the fitness track, which is right in that middle where your goal is intensity, and kind of like the RX as prescribed version. And then performance is for those people who are more competitive. So there you might see like maybe like a goal of doing things unbroken. So that's bumping up like your volume in the sense of we want you to do 21 handstand push-ups unbroken or strict handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
But you're still doing it intense, trying to get the original stimulus. We're just making it harder for you.
Right. And I think like sometimes, like I had a question, somebody asked me, I was coaching a class today, and they're like, how can we do that? That's ridiculous if I had to go unbroken the whole time. It's like, it doesn't mean like you have to go unbroken in that track. The goal, it's a goal. Like it was written, goal is to do this. Like if you can't do it, but you're trying. You know, that's your goal. And if you can hit that goal, that's awesome. You know, and that's the point of that track.
Is to kind of push you out of your comfort. Because like
exactly.
we're talking about this with Blair today. Our workout is Diane, 21:59 deadlifts and handstand push-ups. Very hard for most people. And then like Blair said he could do it unbroken in 2.5 minutes. Like when you're that good, it's not that hard for him.
Right.
So then, you know, his version would be strict handstand push-ups. All of a sudden, it's a very hard workout now.
Yep.
So the tracks are basically just kind of shifting the workout along this continuum to where you would get the best benefit and make the best progress as fast as possible.
Yeah, and then like how would you choose, Jason, like maybe like do you have to always stick to the wellness program or, you know, the wellness track or the fitness track? You know, like I think sometimes people think that too, well, I'm not going to scale down, or, you know, I usually do RX. How would you tell people to kind of pick and choose that track?
Well,
journey
for basically all new people, I would say at least start at the wellness track, just so you can kind of get your bearings. Or if there's a movement you're not good at, like today for Diane, for example, handstand push-ups are my biggest weakness. In the past, I've always tried to RX this workout. I'd get like 5 or 15 handstand push-ups in and just burn out. And it'd take me like, the cap is 11 minutes. It's supposed to be quick. If I did it without the cap, it would take me like 20 minutes. You know, so I'm doing the workout wrong. Today,
the goal is to push yourself.
Right.
Get that intensity.
I might have modified down to pike push-ups on box. Still, the pike push-ups got very challenging. I probably got more benefit from doing those, working on my strength, instead of doing, you know, a single handstand push-up, resting for 30 seconds, doing a single handstand push-up. That's not really building strength at all.
Yeah. Especially under the intensity. Like that's the point of this workout, is to get multiple reps under intensity.
So what you'll find is when you're thinking about, like, if you've been doing wellness for super long, you're going to notice you're really good in some movements you really like, and some not so much. You know, you have some weaknesses. So then you can make a judgment call. If it's a workout that you know you're strong in the movements, maybe that's a good time to try to do the fitness and see where you are. Or, you know, if you know it's a weakness, then you stick to the wellness, try to develop the strength or the skill to get better at it. And then when you find that more often than not you're going to the fitness, well, then that makes sense to make the fitness your default. You can kind of do the same thing for those weaknesses. You know, if you want to start looking at the performance, like when your strengths come up, okay, I'll try the performance with that today. There's not any like set you have to RX or you don't have to, or you need to be wellness. It kind of depends on your ability.
And I think that's one thing that, like, it's okay if you choose that you want RX, if that's important to you, that's awesome. We don't really harp on the RX versus skilled. Like you said, you just choose which one is best for you, and like it's all about working your weakness. And just because, let's say, you know, when we put RX on the board or give a weight, if you can't do that, don't push yourself to doing that. I think that's also a common mistake that we didn't talk about, is like thinking that, I have to do RX because I want to follow the fitness track and I want to hit that weight. Well, again, the goal of the workout, which is I think why our coaches are doing an awesome job at explaining that and the reasoning behind workouts, so that our athletes know, like, okay, so this is supposed to be a quick style today, and I know that 225 is going to be rough for me at 45 reps total. Maybe I should bring that down to 185 or whatever. So, I like your explanation.
And if you're kind of like in the in-between stages where you're not really sure if you could go fitness or wellness, ask coach, be like, and if he didn't explain it or you're still unsure, just say, hey, like, what do you think I should do? Coach should have a pretty good idea of your fitness ability. If you want to push out of your comfort zone a little bit, he'll make a recommendation. If it's a weakness and he wants you to just work on the technique, he'll say, whatever that is.
And that, like you said, a good way to figure it out is if you're excited about a workout and you're like, this looks great, those workouts, those movements. Like today for me, this was exciting for me because I really like this workout. You talked about how this is your worst benchmark, and honestly, this is my favorite, one of my favorites. I get excited over it because it has the gymnastics aspect in it, and the deadlift, it's heavy enough for me, but it's enough where I can push through it. That's my weakness, is actually the weightlifting. So it's kind of like a challenge there, but then to be able to be challenged and go on it. So I get excited over it. If, let's say, like you said, then you scale back because you're like, I can't do those. But everybody knows that, like we all know our weakness. You kind of find that, and you're like, all right, this one's going to be tough for me. I better maybe look at that wellness track and see if there's something I can do and maybe work on that weakness. Or this one's exciting, I'm going to hit it. So then you can choose the fitness.
Another thing to think about if you struggle with that mindset of, like you have to RX is, it's kind of just setting yourself up for failure. If it's going to be too hard, like if I did this workout today, RX, I've been doing CrossFit for 6 years, and I feel like I should be at a certain point, but I'm not. If I did the workout RX, I'd probably just get frustrated and upset and pissed off. Maybe take a day off because I'm not where I think I should be. Versus I scaled, still had a really good workout, worked on some strength. I actually left with a positive mindset that actually improved.
Yeah.
And oftentimes dealing with my back injury, I've had to do that, and I've, even though I'm scaling or modifying, I leave the workout feeling a lot better because I feel like I did the right thing. I didn't let my ego take over. I got better, all that stuff.
You hit it right on the head, the ego.
So, take wins. You can still find wins even if you have to scale or not RX. And then if you're just here to, work out for an hour, have fun, and you're not really concerned about, pushing yourself 100% every day, just come in and do wellness. There's no reason that you have to snatch heavy and do all this crazy weightlifting stuff. We have some people who are totally content just doing that. You can still get a good workout. You can still sweat.
I mean, there's days where I come in and I'm super sore. Like you said, I've been doing this for 6 years and 5 years. And there's days I come in and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm just sore. My shoulders are wrecked, maybe whatever we did that week. And I listen to my body and I'm like, it's okay to scale down. I'm not going to do the wellness. I'm not going to do fitness, but I'm going to do a combination of the both. I'm just going to bring that weight down a little bit.
Right.
So, but then like Friday was a huge challenge for me with the toes to bar and the snatch. That was a relatively heavy snatch. And I pushed. I was gonna scale. I almost did. I got in my head there, but I knew that I could do the 135. So it was more of like, am I gonna scale back because I'm too scared and I don't, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna push me out of my comfort zone, or should I push myself to that comfort zone and which I knew I could do it. It was just more of like taking the easy road out.
Right. So and that stuff comes up too, and we always advocate to kind of push out of those comfort zones if it's just you're a little scared of something.
Right.
Yeah, I think that just, in summary, just remember if you're newer and just starting off, don't worry about matching some of the veterans who are going 100 miles an hour. Just kind of worry about learning, and that should be your focus for the first few months, learning and getting things down. I mean, heck, those first few months you're learning so much new terminology and movements. Just that should be your focus, is learning.
Come in, get a good workout. You're moving, you're doing something other than sitting on the couch, if that's where you came from. And you're learning new movements, you're challenging yourself.
Don't stress about your time.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff will come down.
We may ask you for your score. That's more of like a benchmark to see where you're at, kind of show you that you did it. But nobody, it's all about yourself, you know. Give yourself a pat on the back if you're just starting out. This stuff's hard. It gets harder as you go, but it becomes a little easier.
And then as you kind of progress towards that moderate athlete, then that's when you can turn the intensity up and really pack a good training session into a little period of time. And keep your fitness up if you just want to invest an hour, a couple hours a week. And then for all our competitive athletes, that's when you really got to push hard and dig deep day after day with both volume and intensity.
All right, I like it. It was a good episode talking about our volume and intensity. If you guys have any questions, shoot us a message. Other than that, next week Corey and I will be back. We'll see how maybe she'll tell us a little bit about her journey. That'd be kind of cool. Stay classy, Harbor Park.
See you later, guys.
All right, everyone, that wraps up another episode of Anchored. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to share it with someone you know. Give us a 5-star review on your listening platform. That helps us reach more people. And remember to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. We'll talk to you guys later, and stay classy.
Thanks for listening to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit. If you would like further information about our programs, visit www.harborparkcrossfit.com. We hope you'll tune in next time.